Former Saskatchewan Roughriders defensive coordinator, by the way. There he is. Now you're looking smooth. How you doing, Coach Quick?
Doing good, Rod. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Hey, this is totally different for you. You've been in the CFL a long time. With free agency now, and you just being a witness, what's it look like from the other side, from the league office versus being in the trenches in the coaching staffs?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a frenzy on the coaching side, but here in the CFL office, Laurent and Eric, and people that have to deal with free agency and recording all the contracts and those things, it's amazing the amount of the work they get done in a short period of time.
You know, that's a really good point, by the way, especially last week with the bidding season. I thought this would be a clerical nightmare for the CFL. It seems to work very well. Can you talk about, from the league perspective, the last 7, 8, 9, 10 days, how this first year for this window worked out?
Yeah, I've been across the sea most of the time, but I'll tell you that Ryan and Laurent, of course, Greg and Eric and Chris, all the people in the office have been working innumerable hours to guarantee that thing would go smoothly. And just my highest opinion is they've done a great job at doing so. But I think also all the clubs have embraced the process. Randy right now is talking about all for one and that we all work together to advance the league. I think a great example of that's what's happened with free agency.
All right. Excellent. So can we talk about your role? You mentioned you've been across the pond looking at football players. You've had these global combines. Can you just explain your job on a day-to-day basis, Greg?
Yeah, really about assessing and procuring talent. Rod, we may have some people that are listening that are familiar with the old Bledsoe model in the NFL years ago. It's kind of my role. I'm an adjunct member of 9 different personnel departments. I indirectly work for 9 different GMs and clubs as well as the CFL. In that, I'm helping provide the information that they need to make the decisions they need to properly utilize the 2 roster spots and the 3 practice roster spots of our global players. Greg, so we've had 8 combines, got 3 to go. I think on Friday we're going to release the first 24 players that will be invited to the combine in March.
That's really exciting. We're seeing the international game come a long way. Even at the junior game, and Canada's doing really well. We're seeing Mexico, Japan even play well. What's the level of competition in the international markets? Where has that grown since you've been in this role?
Well, I'll tell you, I was hopeful about the talent, but after getting our feet on the ground in Europe and in Japan, I've been very impressed with the talent. We have that have already been invited to the combine from our first visits. They're going to make a mark in the CFL. The talent level across the board is very good, and even some of the smaller countries have had some surprising talent. They're going to have players that are going to make a difference in the CFL.
What's a country?
The Germanys and the Japans of the world have established and very competitive programs. But even the Norwegian countries and Spain and France across the board are all going to have players that come to the combine. I think are going to open some eyes. There's some guys that are going to get off that plane, and people are going to take notice.
That's really exciting. Sorry to cut you off there, but you mentioned some of those countries. I was just going to ask you, what's one country that's developing football players that we wouldn't expect? We'd be like, they're developing good football players that might play in the CFL?
Well, we're going to Brazil here in a few weeks, and people know a lot about the MMA background in Brazil, and Brazil has a great combat culture, and they've got so we're excited to go to Brazil and see what might be there because it's kind of an unknown for us right now. But all of our European partners were amazing. Italy, for example, we went to Florence, and several very good talents there as well as across the board. Japan has a very unique, not only culture in their society, but their sport culture is amazing. The precision athletes, you'd be amazed at how well coached they are and the precision of their footwork. You'll see it at the combine when those players come.
Greg, are any countries playing Canadian rules, or is it all American rules football?
Right now, Rod, everything we've seen has been American rules, but there's some interesting conversation already this morning. We're talking to our partners about the players that are being selected, and several are talking about that possibility. And that's one of the things that is part of the 2.0 that Randy, I'm sure, would love to see happen, is that the Canadian game, as it is, and all of our partners were at the Grey Cup, and they find the Canadian game to be very exciting. They take great pride in their football IQ, and they know you have to be an intelligent fan, be an intelligent player to play the Canadian game.
Is that a necessity in your mind? Because half of our players and coaches have had to switch from American to Canadian rules anyways. You're one of them. Like, I think it would be a good thing to have Canadian rules around the globe, but I don't think it's imperative. What's your take on that?
No, it's not a necessity. After being out, not to simplify it too far, but we all need to block and tackle. And it's how well we block and tackle is going to depend a lot upon the success we have as individuals. So the fundamental techniques of what's being played is so common, crosses over. We're able to make the evaluations. And you made a very good point, Rod. We do it now from the north border. We can cross the ocean the same way.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand how smart today's football player is. You're not playing pro football if you don't have it between your ears anyways, right, Greg? I mean, you've been coaching these guys a long time. I wouldn't think it would be – you're not going to get this far if you're not smart enough to figure out the changes and the nuances, as you guys like to say.
No. Yeah, 100%. The ability to adapt intellectually is very important to an athlete. And so the intellect of the play, often you'll see a guy that comes to a combine or is testing, or you'll see a guy that plays, but it takes more than just being a track athlete. To be a professional athlete, to have the consistency of excellence that you need to have, you have to have an intellect, you have to have a mental capability, you have to have a character that surpasses the average individual.
Greg, last question for you, because I know you're busy. Are you enjoying this role? Because when the league announced you for the director of global scouting, I thought, this is perfect fit. Has it been as much as you'd hoped it would be?
Rod, I got to tell you, I appreciate that, and it has been. This is a great opportunity. We all want to do some footprint. And right now, it's not Greg Quick that's leaving a footprint, it's the CFL. And we've left a footprint across Europe, across Japan. Now we're heading to Central and South America and to Denmark. And through our clinics and through the combines, the CFL and the country of Canada is leaving its mark across the world.
I bet you 30 years ago when you were teaching, you never dreamt you'd be doing this.
No. That kid from Painesville, Ohio, never thought he'd be sitting in Japan eating sushi and watching football.
That's great. All right, Greg, I appreciate it. Keep in touch, my man. All the best.
Great. Thanks, Rod, for having us. Have a great day.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.